What if taking care of yourself actually helped you show up better for everyone else? I'm Janet Jacks, Coach Janet J, and this is your next best step. This podcast is about real doable shifts that help you breathe easier and move forward one step at a time. If you've been carrying the weight of too much for too long and waiting for things to calm down before you start caring for yourself, this is your sign. The time is now. Let's begin where you are. You were made for more than just surviving. You know that box? The one you've moved from room to room for how long has it been now? Or maybe it's the kitchen counter that has become a permanent landing pad for mail, keys, water bottles, and things you swear you will deal with later. Today, we are not here to shame your piles or tell you to become a minimalist by next Tuesday. Instead, we are going to get curious about what your clutter might actually be trying to tell you. Here's the truth. Your mess, it is not evidence you are lazy or failing at life. It is information. And once you listen to it, everything changes. Let me tell you about my loft. When I first moved into my current home, I had this beautiful loft space. Perfect for a home office, right? Except for almost 2 years, it became the place where everything I did not know what to do with just landed. Boxes I had not unpacked, papers I meant to file, things I would deal with someday. And every time I walked upstairs, I felt this little punch of shame. Like, Janet, you are a wellness coach. You should have your life together. What is wrong with you? Here is what I eventually realized. That cluttered loft was not telling me I was lazy. It was telling me I was overwhelmed by a major life transition, and I did not have the emotional bandwidth to process everything at once. The clutter was evidence of my internal state, not a moral failing. And I still have my own version of this today. I call it my filing hot potato. It is this box of paperwork that I just move around from the office to the closet, back to the desk, and then sometimes hidden in a cabinet when company is coming. Sound familiar? Here is what actually happens when we see clutter. We immediately make it mean something about who we are. I am disorganized. I am a mess. I cannot keep up. But research from UCLA's Center on Everyday Lives of Families tells a different story. In their in-home narrated home tours of dual-earner middle-class families, researchers noticed something striking. Moms were far more likely to describe clutter as unfinished work, a visible reminder of all the things still waiting to be handled. And in peer-related review analysis, psychologist Darby Saxby and colleagues found that when wives described their home environments as more cluttered or unfinished, they showed a less healthy daily cortisol pattern. Specifically, cortisol did not fall normally across the day. Translation: clutter is not just stuff. For many women, it reads like a running to-do list. Your nervous system cannot stop scanning. Recent articles in Psychology Today explore how this connects to what researchers call the mental load. Women experience clutter as cognitive overload because they are not just seeing the objects, they are seeing responsibilities. Your brain is literally working overtime trying to sort, organize, and manage everything in your field of vision. And when your environment is visually noisy, your brain cannot rest. So let's talk about how clutter actually impacts your whole person, because it is never just about the stuff. Mental. Neuroscience research helps explain why clutter feels mentally exhausting. When multiple objects are in your visual field, They literally compete for your brain's processing resources, and your attention has to work harder to filter what matters. Newer work has also shown that visual clutter can change how information flows through the visual system. So, if your space feels visually loud, your brain does not get to fully exhale. Emotional and relational. This is not just personal preference. Clutter can become a relationship stressor. For example, a UK survey reported in January 2025 found 46% of respondents said cluttered or messy environments negatively impacted their relationships. And even when nobody's fighting, constant visual mess can keep your body in a low-grade stress state, which makes tenderness and connection feel harder to access. Research on clutter and well-being consistently links higher clutter with lower subjective well-being and a weakened sense of home as a place that restores you. And practically, many people experience a vicious cycle. The more overwhelmed you feel, the harder it is to declutter, and the more clutter builds, the more overwhelmed you feel. Physical, trip hazards, extra dust and allergens, and the sheer number of extra steps required to do basic tasks when you cannot find what you need. When you are already dealing with fatigue or hormonal changes, this compounds the problem. Spiritual, and here's where it gets really tender. Maybe you grew up hearing cleanliness is next to godliness, a saying that is not even in the Bible, by the way. Or maybe the internal narrative says a good Christian woman should have a tidy home. I must be failing at this too. Here is what I need you to hear. God is not grading you on your countertops. He sees your heart. He knows what season you are in. And he is much more interested in the state of your soul than the state of your floors. In Isaiah 32:18, God promises, "My people will live in peaceful dwelling places, in secure homes, in undisturbed places of rest." Notice it does not say magazine-worthy homes or Pinterest-perfect spaces. It says peaceful, secure places of rest. Your home is meant to support you, not condemn you. When your space feels overwhelming, that's a signal that something deeper needs attention. Here is your next best step this week, and it is probably different from anything you have tried before. I want you to have a conversation with your clutter. I know that sounds weird. Stay with me. Pick one cluttered zone in your home, not the whole house, just one zone. Maybe it is your nightstand, your desk, that chair where the clothes live, or the entryway table. Set a timer for exactly 10 minutes, just 10. Now, instead of immediately sorting or organizing, I want you to pause and ask, what is this pile about? Are these papers from when you were caring for your aunt and barely had time to breathe? Is that pile of clothes evidence that you have been too exhausted to deal with laundry? Or that you have gained weight and nothing fits and you are avoiding the whole situation? Is the mail stacked up because you are anxious about bills? Are those craft supplies a dream you are not ready to let go of, even though you never use them? Your clutter has a story, and until you acknowledge what that is actually about, you will just keep moving it around. After you've identified the story, then you can sort. Use 3 simple categories. 1, keep. I use this regularly and it has a home. 2, donate. Someone else could use this. 3, trash. This has served its purpose and no one else needs it. And here's the most important part. As you work through those 10 minutes, practice this narrative reframe. This space got overwhelmed because I have been overwhelmed. These 10 minutes are not about perfection. They are about making my home a little kinder to my brain and body. That's it. Just 10 minutes, one small surface, one gentle conversation with your stuff. I want you to remember, clutter is information, not indictment. It is your environment and your inner world having a conversation. And when you start listening to what it is really saying, instead of what you think it is saying about you, you can respond with compassion instead of shame. You do not need a perfect home. You just need a space where your brain can breathe. So this week, choose one surface. Set your timer. Ask the question. And notice if your shoulders drop even just a little when that one small area feels calmer. That is where transformation begins. One surface, one conversation, one compassionate step at a time. I will see you next time on your next best step. All right, you've got your next step. Small, doable, and real. If this inspired you, make sure to grab your free 5-minute daily reset at yournextbeststep.com. It's my gift to help you pause the chaos and reconnect with what matters most. Be sure to subscribe. And if someone came to mind while you listened, please share this with them. Remember, you are seen, you are known, and you matter. Be kind to yourself along the way. You are making real change, one step at a time.